Hey guys, welcome back to the Regular People's podcast. Today we are talking about friends who might very well turn into enemies. I mean, we have seen this a number of times. We have seen this happen every time in our own personal lives. We've seen it with other people in our lives where people grow from being friends to being enemies. Just like that. We always wonder what really happened. How could this happen? These people were so good together. And I guess today, me making this video, I want you to reflect on the situations where you were friends with someone, but right now you are no longer friends with them, and what really happened, and if you can do something about it, maybe try and rekindle that relationship if it was a valuable relationship that you lost. Because I think 2022 also lost a valuable relationship that I think about all the time, friendship. And I'm actually been like contemplating reaching out to that person and being a bigger person and say, yo, what happened? What happened? Let's talk about it. But I say that to say, I think the same thing is happening here with Black Motion. As we know, Black Motion is a popular South African music duo. DJs, performers, music producers, percussionists, songwriters. I mean, these guys are multi-talented and have been in the music industry for a while. But things seem to be unraveling between these two guys. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation, especially during the last year, 2022. Early last year, people have been speculating that there's something going on there by Black Motion. Firstly, I think the thing that I saw first was they had a gig in New York, which they missed. But it appeared at the time that the other partner, Bongani specifically, was pulling away from the group. There were a lot of speculation on Twitter, prominently. In fact, Prince KB was tweeted that Black Motion is no more, and people were kind of like, obviously, we didn't want that to happen, so we were bashing Prince KB a little bit. But Black Motion came back and said, no, guys, chill. We are still very much together. We are going through, obviously, like a transition phase where Bongani, one of the group members, is obviously going to go on his way to do his own thing, but he's not leaving the group. He's just rebranding. That's the way that I'm looking for. He's rebranding as Morda Bongz, as we know him now. He's Morda Bongz. He DJs on his own right now. He has his own gigs. He has his own songs, which there's nothing wrong with that. So Black Motion, their page came back to clarify, and they shared it on their stories, and we moved on from there. But we kept seeing that the other member is doing his own thing, which there's nothing wrong until to a point where now allegations start going around. So what allegation am I talking about? So currently, what happened was, I woke up today, I didn't know what video I'm going to shoot. I wanted to talk about fat and set or something. Well, anyway, look out for that video. I want us to have an honest conversation about fat and sets and whether or not are they the abomination that the world claim they are, or they are these wonderful things. Like there are two parties when it comes to this topic, but obviously not to get off topic. Yes, so I was like, yo, I need to talk about this. So this was a court order issued by the Johannesburg High Court, I believe. It was a court order that was taken by Spirit Music against Bongani, and the first paragraph was actually shown in that court order where they were ordering Bongani to bring back the musical equipment that he had taken from Spirit Music's recording studio rather. So we saw that, and it was obviously shocking, and people started being like, yeah, the speculations were right. In fact, Prince KB came back and said, yeah, I told you guys that this group is normal. And also gossip pages, as we know them, came back to say, yeah, these guys haven't been fucking with each other for a while. And in fact, this is not the first time Thabo or rather Bongani has taken the studio equipment, allegedly. And obviously, at this point, we're just going off what people say. We don't know what the truth is, but obviously court has ordered Thabo to bring back the studio equipment. Rather Bongani, not Thabo. I apologize about that. Yeah, so because what usually happens is that, like, you go to a lawyer, and then the lawyer will write up an application and get a court order, and then if the respondent does not defend the court order, the judge or the court will issue the court order automatically if there's no defense. So what I'm really trying to wrap my mind around is that, was that court order defended by Bongani? Because Thabo initiated it, we saw on Twitter on the 4th of January when he went to those lawyers. And now when the Black Motion page posted that the court order has in fact been granted against the respondent in the situation being Bongani. So what I really would like to know is that did Bongani really respond to the court order or he didn't? But we saw Bongani on his stories posting musical equipment saying making music. So obviously if the equipment was purchased by their label, none of them can take the studio for themselves. It's not a personal equipment. It's now an asset that belongs to the company. So it will be interesting to see how that thing has resolved. The court order has ordered him to return it by Friday. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll get updates. And people were actually questioning Black Motion, why can't you handle this thing privately? And then the response was like, no, I want this to be public so that people can see what's going on. So that when this thing unravels and becomes bigger, people don't point fingers and start saying things that are untrue. So we will obviously see what happens. But obviously, this is a lesson to all of us, as you know, people who are going to start businesses with our friends, start businesses with our colleagues. We need to be aware of all these dynamics. And when it comes to business, we need to professionalize it as much as possible so that if there's ever a conflict, it can be resolved. You know, either using articles of incorporations, or it can be resolved through courts, you know, where a court can interpret the articles of incorporation and see, okay, what was the whole process of founding this particular business. So professionalizing it as much as possible so that when there are squabbles, you know, we can resolve this either judiciary or we can obviously, you know, reach some sort of like a resolution, maybe through arbitration and things like that. And obviously on a social level, you know, like friends come and go, but you know there are certain friends that are extremely important to us, and we shouldn't let ego drive us when it comes to these friendships, you know, because a lot of, you know, obviously like or a main factor in relationships going best usually is ego. So, you know, and we are growing, even though we are young, we are but getting old, man. Like we cannot be squabbling forever. Let's find a way to resolve these things without any ego involved, and let's make sure that we keep the people that we have founded something of, people that we find important in our lives, closer to us. And fighting and squabbling, those things do not resolve anything. And don't be so mad for a very long time. When, you know, be the bigger person. You know, like being the bigger person sometimes make people mad. But like at a certain age, you need to understand that, you know, we are gonna die, we are gonna cease to exist. And really the only things that matter in this life thing is relationships. The relationships, the people that you keep around. Anyway, I didn't want to make this long. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video if you made it this far, and obviously share the video. Comment below what you think of this story. It's been your boy Tapelo. I am out.